So we're going to continue reading The Ice Monster by David Williams, illustrated by Tony Ross. Let's read on. Dead as dead can be. Shh, came the voice from behind her. Don't give yourself away. Elsie knew that voice. It was the only adult voice she ever remember speaking to her in a tone of kindness. Dotty's. Elsie turned around and whispered, Thank goodness it's you. Everyone is looking for you, young miss. I know, I'm not supposed to be here. You don't say, replied the cleaning lady. Truth be told, I'm not meant to be here either. A humble cleaner isn't allowed to be in the set room as with the Queen Victoria, her Queen Majesty. Dotty looked at the girl as if she were bonkers. That's what I said. I couldn't resist not being here. I love our Queen. Dotty gazed down proudly at the lady. Oh, that reminds me, I must buy a stamp. 2 stories below, the Queen was looking up at the frozen creature. Well, so this is the famous ice monster. Yes, ma'am, replied the director. It's a huge feat of engineering for the museum to keep the animal's body conserved like this. The pipe you can see is hanging down from the ceiling, blows cold air onto the tank through the hatch to keep the ice in its packed in frozen. It's a bit small for a monster. Lancaster was once again blindsided by the lady. Well, I am, he spluttered. I can only apologize, Your Majesty. But the mammoth is probably only a year or so old. It's really a child. The Queen looked lost in her thought for a moment. Have you got any bigger ones? Lancaster looked desperately around the faces of the assembled great and good for help, but none came. No, I am afraid not, ma'am. Finding any prehistoric creature, let alone in such a perfect condition, is extremely rare. This is a find of the sanctuary. My dear departed husband, Prince Albert, would have liked it. Shame he isn't here with me to see this. Albert loved animals. I am more of an opera fan myself, aren't I, Munchie? Her elegant companion smiled weakly. Oh, you have a unique singing voice, Your Majesty. His rice answer made the old lady chuckle. The chuckle turned into a cough. A concerned Abdul steadied her. Thank you, Munchie. I don't know what I would do without you. Nor me without you, Your Majesty. The unlikely pair shared a smile, and then the Queen looked back up at the mammoth. Does it do anything? She inquired. I am so sorry, Your Majesty. What do you mean? Replied Lancaster. Sweat was now pouring off his brow. Well, like a trick? She asked with a girlish excitement. The museum's director paused before he spoke, gathering his thoughts. Sadly not, Your Majesty. This creature has been dead for over 10,000 years. So as dead as it goes, I would say you can't get much more deader. It's as dead can be. That is a shame. I suppose it's rather pretty if you kind of like that sort of thing, which I do. Lancaster shuffled awkwardly. Do you have any other questions, Your Majesty? The Queen thought for a moment. When are we having tea and cake? I was dragged halfway across London to come here. These days I don't like to leave the palace too much. At my age it all becomes just a bit of a bother. But my eyes lit up at the promise of tea and cake, you see, and I haven't so much seen a scone. I meant questions about the mammoth, Your Majesty. The what? This creature here? No, replied the Queen with her customary bluntness. Shame it's dead already, came a voice from the shadows in the hall, or I would shoot it. All heads turned to see who had so rudely interrupted Her Majesty the Queen. Out of the darkness stepped a figure dressed in a pith helmet, knee-high lace-up boots, and a khaki boat. A plume of grey cigar smoke followed it. Who the blazes is that? Demanded the Queen, struggling to see. Oh, no, stammered Lancaster. Who is it? Lady Buckshot, the big game hunter, your majesty, replied Lancaster. Disapproving murmurs echoed around the hall. What is she doing here? Pressed the Queen. Well, ma'am, replied the hunter, I shot and killed every stuffed animal in this museum. Oh, such a shame that the animals weren't armed, or they could have fired back, hissed the Queen to Abdul, just loud enough for Buckshot to hear. Abdul couldn't help but laugh. Oh, it's a shame here that this monster is already dead, began Buckshot. It would have been my great pleasure to shoot it right between the eyes. Well, Lady Buckshot, spluttered Lancaster. The mammoth is a species has long since been extinct. Oh, I know, I am in the extinction business, replied the hunter. I would wipe out every last creature on earth if I could. How delightful for you, said the Queen sarcastically. Now, where is this tea and cake? Lancaster leapt in. Tea and cakes will now be served in the gallery. If you would follow me. The Queen took Abdul's arm and she shuffled out of the hall. The great and the good all followed, which left Buckshot alone with the mammoth. From the top of the stairs, Elsie and Dotty watched as she marched right up to the front of the tank. And there she mimed taking out a shotgun, loading it and firing. Boom! She even provided a sound effect before miming the mammoth's brains splitting out. Ha! Ha 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 ha! She chuckled to herself before drifting back into the shadows. Now only Elsie and Dotty were left in the main hall. I am trembling, chattered Elsie, holding onto the balcony rail. The evil stench of Buckshot cigar smoke had snaked all the way up there. Me too, evil woman. She's always dragging some poor tiger or lion. She shot with a wicked grin on her face. So, now she's gone, do we dare? Dare what? Replied the cleaning lady. Do we dare to go down and take a closer look? Dotty shook her head. Oh, Elsie, you are going to get me in deep doo-doo. Let's have a very, very quick look. And when the girl put it that way, it was hard to say no. Just a quick look. A glimpse, really. Less than a glimpse. Just a peek. A peek. Exactly, replied Elsie. Dotty sighed heavily. All right, then. Let's have a peek at this man-moth. I actually think it's called a mammoth, corrected Elsie. Yes, man-moth. That is what I said. Elsie smiled and pulled the old lady along by her sleeve. Come on, Dotty. Cheeks ablaze. I'm not sliding down the banister, protested Dotty. But it's the fastest way down, replied Elsie. Dotty was right to be reluctant. It was an awfully long way from the topmost floor of the museum to the bottommost. In that time we've been arguing, we could already be at the bottom, reasoned Elsie. The girl clambered onto the banister. Dotty sighed and then hitched up her skirt and joined her. Well, this is an extremely bad idea, said the lady. It was too late. Whoosh. Ouch, ouch, my bottom cheeks are ablaze, complained Dotty. Hold on, called out Elsie. Soon they ran out of banister and the girl landed on the floor with a thud. Dotty landed on top of her. Thudder. Mesmerized, Elsie approached the ice monster. All that was separating the girl from a species that had become extinct thousands of years ago were a few inches of glass. Funny looking thing, muttered Dotty. I think it's beautiful, whispered the girl. It's like the biggest cuddly toy you've ever seen. Dotty chuckled. Sure not. It would not be that cuddly if it were alive. Now come on, we need to get out of here before that Mr. Clout comes back. The girl stood still. Elsie! Elsie! The lady tugged at the little girl's arm. We need to go. I don't want to leave here alone, replied Elsie. You what? Dotty could not believe what she was hearing. You look sad. Well, you'd look sad if you'd been dead for 10,000 years. Let me climb on your shoulders. You what? Well, I need to take a closer look. Young lady, we need to get out of here now before Her Majesty the Queen comes back. Quicker than a peek, implored Elsie. A peekaboo, I promise. Now. No, come on. And with that, Dotty tried to drag the girl out of the hall. However, Elsie was far too quick for her, and before Dotty knew it, Elsie had climbed up on her back. What the? Hold on to my ankle, she ordered. Elsie stood on the lady's shoulders as a reluctant Dotty dutifully held on to her. The girl was now at head height with the mammoth. She pressed her nose up against the cold glass and stared deep into one of its little black eyes. What are you doing up there? Called Dotty. The truth was, Elsie didn't know what she was actually doing up there. All she did know was that she was transfixed and she couldn't move, and it was as if she was so frozen solid too. We need to go, implored Dotty. Still, Elsie stared, and then the most magical thing happened. It was a moment that changed everything. A bead of water formed on the creature's eyes. It's crying, called down Elsie. Oh my, you're not imagining things, young lady. That mammoth hasn't cried since long before I was born. Now come on down. Not yet. What do you mean, not yet? It means not yet. Down the corridor, there was the sound of bootsteps. Clack, click, clack, click, clack. Clout was onto them. We need to go now, cried Dotty, and with the girl still standing on her shoulders, she began running as fast as she could. Whoa! Exclaimed Elsie as she tried to stop wobbling. Click, clack, click, clack, click, clack. Who goes there? Clout shout echoed along the corridor. Elsie topped over and slid down Dotty's back. Now she was riding her like a horse. Giddy up! Ordered the girl as the two made their escape. And that's the end of the reading for today for The Ice Monster. We've just finished chapter 16. So we are getting a good move on this book. Hope you're enjoying it. Bye.